Hi guys, this is Dan. Welcome back to my channel. Today, let's do something that I haven't done for such a long time, which is to talk about just one book. I am really torn here. It is a book that I struggle to finish, but when I sat down and typed down my thoughts, I sort of appreciate it more. The book I am talking about is Great Silence by Richard Swan, the first book of a brand new fantasy series called The Great Silence. This series also takes place in the same world as the previous trilogy, The Empire of the Wolf. So the very first question you may have is, do you need to finish the first trilogy first before jumping into this one? To be honest, I haven't read anything by this author yet, so I am jumping into Great Empire without any knowledge about this world. From what I have completed and later research about it, there is some sort of references about the first trilogy and the author would assume you know it. I haven't read the first 3 books yet, but I don't think that has hindered my reading experience at all. It is like if you have, it will be great. You will enjoy this kind of Easter egg hunt. You will want to know what's going to happen after the first trilogy, right? But if you haven't, don't worry, it wouldn't ruin your experience at all. So it is kind of safe jumping to this one without reading the first trilogy. So now I guess we can move on and talk about what Great Empire is about. It is about the Empire of Wolf, which is like the most powerful empire in the world right now. But one day, a mysterious plague broke out in the north. It is really contagious and it is not a simple one. What makes it worse is 2 monks coming forward to the Empress, stating that with what they have observed in the afterlife realm, they believe the Great Silence is coming, which means the end of the world. In here, we are actually following 3 characters, which the synopsis only says 1. The first one is of course Renita, a very young and green ambassador. With what they have learned from the monks, she and a group of experts would try to negotiate with the Stygian race, which is like a merfolk civilization. They seem to have more knowledge about what is actually going on, but her journey wouldn't be easy because she would discover more outside of what she has learned. Even a great responsibility lies on her shoulder with a twist later in the story, which of course I won't say too much about it. The second one is a newly commissioned officer in the army called Peter. He is coming from a noble family. His dad actually brought him this commission to the army, so Peter is still quite inexperienced. With this background, as well as where this army is located, which is quite remote, Peter has to work extra hard to gain the trust of his fellow soldiers. Von Oldenburg is our last POV, who was introduced later in the story when the plot started to develop. He is a Senate, but he got so many secrets that could shake the world. From these 3 POVs, what you can expect is a thriller and mystery roller coaster, and I really mean it. It is actually quite some time already since I read something that is so graphic, so brutal, so spooky. And I think this one has dialed up the horror element to maximum. So if you are into horror but set in a fantasy world, this one is definitely for you. So now you may wonder, what sort of horror or mystery element should I expect from this story? I would say they are all quite heavy with the horror spooky elements. Definitely Peter is the most, followed by von Oldenburg. There will be so much, and I mean so much for our poor Peter to go through. Like I said, he is coming from a noble background and still quite inexperienced. So when he comes into this new place, things have already been wrong. There were just so many supernatural things going on, like weird noise, weird screaming, hallucination, disassembled body parts. Even later in the story, without much spoilers of course, there were some sort of really descriptive, graphic, gruesome rituals. I was really disturbed when I read that part. As for von Oldenburg, a Senate with hidden agendas, what he would do is to do some experience to prove his theories. But von Oldenburg is a man without any boundaries. What he has done in the story reminds me so much of all the weird science experiments taking place in the past that got no moral standards to follow. He would literally do whatever he needs to do just to prove himself is right. What he is doing is against any morality that we know. So sometimes his chapters could be quite disturbing and gross. Here I didn't know Richard Swan is so good at building up this kind of horror spooky elements. It would definitely make you feel uncomfortable, but in a good way. You will be always aware that something's wrong. The more our character discovers, the worse it is getting. This also links up to the mystery elements in the book. In short, our characters want to find out the truth behind this mysterious plague or all those supernatural experiences they are having. How they're gonna find out the explanation of all this relies on Renita, the ambassador, and the experiment von Oldenburg was conducting. I find it quite clever that these three characters barely see each other as they are coming from different places, so their contact is quite minimum. There may be some links between the characters, but I still appreciate how Richard Swan has constructed this world through the discovery of every character. By the end of the book, everything would make sense. Another element I didn't expect to be this strong is about the military. This sort of reminds me of a trilogy that I have completed before, and it is, you may see it in this corner, the Padme trilogy by Brian McClellan. There are some major battles in Grave Empire with the use of flintlock muskets, so you can already imagine what sort of era this new series is based on. It is like, I forgot how I described the Padme trilogy, but I think the term is neo or post-Neoliponic. Is it? Napoleonic era sort of battles. These warfares would stretch so much on vantage point, maximize your interest on which part of the fortress you need to take down first. Later in the book, there were some really epic, chaotic battles, which once again, I didn't expect the level would be this high. So if I need to pick up a favorite character in this book, and I know it's gonna be like an unpopular opinion, but I will still go for it. I love von Oldenburg the most. I know he is giving a vibe of mad professor that is in the movie, but he is a villain. He has big dreams that would only benefit him. He would do whatever he needs to prove himself to be right, even though it is against any moral standards that the reader's gonna have. He is rude, he is arrogant, he is aggressive, he is gross, he is problematic. But I just love how far he is willing to go just to achieve his goals, how much the boundaries has been pushed by him. Again, von Oldenburg is by no means a perfect character. He is not going to be a great man. But I just appreciate how gross he is. I know I may sound like a psychopath here, but I just love problematic characters. I also appreciate how Richard Swan injects his own wisdom into the story. Every chapter would begin with a quotation that would be, of course, related to that particular chapter. But sometimes you can try to take out this quotation or theories, philosophies that Richard Swan has introduced into the story and apply them to our daily life, which would still make sense. There could also be some sort of humor behind all those quotations, if you get what that means, which is still quite fun. I have been praising Grave Empire for so long, but like I said in the beginning, reading it is not the most entertaining experience I have ever had, and let me tell you why. The first point, which is also the one that I struggled the most and I nearly DNF'd this book, is about how slow and info dumpy this book can be. And I guess this can also be related to his writing style as well. The first 40% of this book is just so slow and quite heavy with the world building. There are quite a lot of times when Richard Swan tried to introduce to us how this world is look like. I'm not too sure about you guys, but one thing I don't particularly like in a fantasy book is how the author gonna introduce the landscape to us. I much prefer it is our characters to go through all these cities to let us see through their eyes, basically, rather than the author try to introduce all the things to us. In Grave Empire, Richard Swan will introduce this city to us. The north, you can expect this. In south, we have this. And then on the east-hand side. In the east, we have this as well. And then in the west, we have this. There is also a river alongside the east. And then there is some sort of political uprising there. I am not a very graphic reader. Imagine jumping into a brand new fantasy world and you are thrown with all these unfamiliar names of places or maybe some geography lesson. I can easily lose interest for anything else. The first 40% of the Grave Empire is also quite heavy with all those spooky elements, like the supernatural phenomenon I have mentioned earlier. Yes, it is spooky and building up for the vibe, but it is also like teasing you. You know something is wrong out there, but you will never know why. Let alone there was some really boring world building I have just talked about. The first half of this book is just not the most enjoyable experience. I am not sure is it because of Richard Swan's writing style. I just find the book not engaging, not immersive enough. I don't really know how to describe it, but it is not like the dryness of the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu. But in Grave Empire, I just struggle. I just can't immerse myself into this world. I just find it really difficult to get into the story, and I may lose interest of what is actually going on. This problem also goes to the characters. Like I said, my favorite is von Oldenburg, the very problematic man. I guess part of the reason why I am not rooting for the others is because they are a bit flat. How I would describe it is like this. I'm not sure how many of you have played this game before, but it is Resident Evil 7. In short, it is about Ethan, who tried to wanna save his girlfriend from this haunted house. In the haunted house, Ethan will be like all the characters in Grave Empire, seeing lots of supernatural phenomenon and fighting some weird creatures. In the game, we have the father who loves mold, the mother who behaves like an insect, and the son who tries to play a game with you. What I want to say here is in this kind of game, it is more about you to enjoy this horror experience that the game to give you, rather than really care about what even this character is going to be like. Putting back to Grave Empire, Peter, von Oldenburg, Renita all go through a lot of supernatural experiences. They will see so much which is the same as us, the readers. You may see them as brave to try to discover what is hidden in the Pandora's box. I would say I would feel for them, but I won't root for them. Renita, who is so young and green, got so much to learn in terms of being an ambassador. I enjoyed unfolding all the secrets with her, but not really care about her, if you know what I mean. So I guess this can also explain why I love the villain more, because von Oldenburg is just problematic. The last thing I would say here is quite a minor one. Richard Swan tried to introduce some sort of romantic elements into the story as well, but it is kept very minimum and very convenient. I would say there are 3 couples in the story, but only 2 of them is the focus. There were some sort of tensions between them. One is like their love is going downhill, and the other one is like developing throughout this journey. But maybe because there are so many other elements to consider in the story, romance is never meant to be the focus. So what is going on with them is there, but they will happen quite quickly. If they're going downhill, they will go downhill real quick. If they are meant to be shipped together, the passion will be ignited quite quickly too. So if you are a reader thinking that romance should be like well written, you may be disappointed here. So here are all my thoughts about this new release, Grave Empire by Richard Swan. Overall, I kind of enjoy it, but I did struggle to finish it. So I guess I would give this one maybe a very average 3 stars. You can also share your thoughts down in the comment below if you have already finished it. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to my channel Dynasty so you won't miss anything from me. I'll see you all real soon. Goodbye.